JP Smith is Head of Safety and Security in the Mother City. Mr. Smith, good evening to you. What is the position as we speak tonight? Are things any easier?
Evening, Jeremy. I think at this stage the situation is largely under control. We're not in the vulnerable position we were in 2005, 2006 with the massive fires then, although in scope the current fire is very similar. We have deployed a lot more staff and fighting capacity since then. But that said, this is a massive fire. We have over 300 firefighters in the field at the moment. They've been working, some of them since yesterday, some since very early this morning. And at this stage, the fire that began in Boys Drive has swept across the entire mountain range and is now stretched all the way across to Hout Bay. So massive plumes of smoke that hang over the city. Got 28 firefighting engines in that equation and 15 support vehicles and a whole lot of staff from Table Mountain National Parks and other volunteer firefighting services assisting our firefighters in bringing the blazes under control.
And of course, none of this has been made easy today by a driving wind.
Howling wind yesterday, which luckily today dropped to more manageable proportions, down to about 12 to 15 kilometers an hour. But yesterday was absolutely howling, and the day before. So that made life very, very difficult and saw this fire jump whole roadways. And I mean, today the heat is also was severe. At the time when I was out with the guys, when I last checked the thermostat, it was sitting at 36 degrees. And I mean, on Chapman's Peak, standing 25, 30 meters away from the blaze, it is so hot that it scalds the skin, that you can feel the heat and you recoil from it without protective gear. So very trying circumstances these firefighters have to work under. And our sincere thanks to them and the members of the public who have responded in huge proportions with free donations of food and drinks, which we are passing on to the firefighters who have to put in these hours.
Mr. Smith, let's talk about damage if we can. Do you have a sense at this point of how widespread the damage is, how many houses have been destroyed, and also in the same vein, what's the position regarding evacuation?
All right, we've had to evacuate 2 old age homes around Silvermine, and those have both been, the Noordhoek and the San Michel, they've both been evacuated and returned. Some of the people had to be treated for smoke inhalation. We've had 5 homes destroyed, very sadly, and those homes, 3 of those were thatched roofs, so they're always high risk under these circumstances, especially on the urban periphery, on the urban edge, adjacent to wildveld areas. And we're asking other people whose homes are in similar areas to please keep their roofs damped down. The firefighters fought valiantly very early this morning from 2 o'clock onwards to prevent more homes in that area from being destroyed. We had another 11 homes that were at risk, but which were saved mercifully. And then also sadly had an injury. One of our senior firefighters caught in an explosion at the Tinswalo Atlantic Lodge, an hotel complex at the bottom of Chapman's Peak, where they were trying to put the fire out. The lodge buildings, the accommodation buildings have been lost, but the main building they were still fighting to save. And the military's helicopter made a very valuable contribution. They water bombing that area over and over in the portions that were inaccessible to ground staff.
Just very quickly, Mr. Smith, in conclusion, always a seasonal risk around about this time of the year. Difficult, of course, to pinpoint the cause.
Difficult. I mean, although I must tell you, I've just been sent a photograph from somebody who WhatsApped it to me saying that they've just seen this vehicle, a particular vehicle, throwing a stompie out of the window on Boys Drive, exactly where the fire occurred. So negligence, callous behavior by people, putting many other at risk, their property at risk, people's lives at risk. So very sad. We have had a huge increase in fires over the last time, even though we've had a fewer or less loss of life. The number of fires we've had to attend to has been much worse with dry and windy conditions, and I'm afraid negligence by people doesn't help.
I presume that photo would be handed over to the police?
I've just asked our guys to serve the person whose details have been forwarded to me with a notice to appear in court without the option of a fine, and to go and get an affidavit from the witness. That kind of behavior absolutely deserves punishment at this stage. Stompies is something that we intend to deal with, but without witnesses, that's always difficult. And while I'm on the topic of reporting things, may I just add that the public please to use the call centre if they see any additional fire or see any risk to property or life. That number being 021 480 7700 to get to our emergency call centre.